All right. Oh, it doesn't make it for some reason. It likes to put us sideways, even though I tested it. I don't know.
That is
It's
too
like
funny.
if it's on the map or something. That's what happens. You can't see me right now 'cause I'm behind the screen.
She's doing all the
I'm
grunt work.
Jimmy Ray.
She's the camera lady now.
Hello.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Ray, and this is Thomasina, and
Sarah.
this is Unanswered,
Yes. And we are going to talk about school districts and schools today.
which is exciting.
Very exciting. So,
Trust me, you'll love this.
so I got some great information for you all um, for here in Hampton Roads. Now, what I'm getting ready to tell you is the stats for Hampton Roads, but for those viewers that are in other parts of the country or other parts of the state, you can take this back because you can look up these stats and start to look into this as well. So
Right.
in Norfolk, there's 42 schools in Norfolk. Only 24 of those are accredited.
It's boggle.
That's only 57%.
And that explains me because I'm a product of the Norfolk Public Schools. So
Okay,
there you
maybe you
go.
were. I don't know if you were accredited or not accredited,
Not
but
sure.
so every other city in Hampton Roads besides Norfolk and Suffolk are at 100% accredited. Now these other schools, they're accredited with conditions, so they have to meet certain conditions, but they're not fully accredited.
Wow.
And so the reason I bring this up is because they don't have the funding from the government to do certain things, right?
Hmm.
Some of these schools, it says you don't even have to have a degree to be a teacher.
What?
Yep. And I mean, it does matter. It does matter to
What?
some, right? It does. And so in Suffolk is almost 100%. It's 15 out of 19 schools,
Okay.
but nothing like Norfolk, 24 out of 42, only 57%. So with this, though, they're also going to be decreasing the amount of schools. And so there's 10 schools. They're going to be down by 10 schools. And I'm sure it's going to be some of those schools that aren't fully accredited. Because what happens is they don't get the money from the government, right? So
Right.
they don't have the money to keep up with these schools and be able to do the maintenance on them and
Right.
all of these things. And so it costs a lot of money out of their pocket to do that. And so they're decreasing by going down by at least 10 schools. The other thing that I looked into, the superintendent that was there
In Norfolk.
in Norfolk,
Yeah.
she was trying her best and was sending emails and just constantly, being the squeaky wheel, saying, "We need help. We need your support. Get these schools accredited." Just kept going and going and going and going and
Basically
going.
doing her job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
better than what most, in
Right.
that's an opinion, right?
Right.
But after she sent the email, really long email, and did all of this stuff, she wasn't there anymore after that. On. And you can look into that too.
This is all very important information.
Yes.
If you're shopping for a home or your client is shopping for a home, to know whether or not your school is accredited
Yeah,
in your school district.
it does make a difference. And as agents and realtors, we cannot tell you these things as your agent as far as if a school is good or bad, because that's an opinion. We can give you statistics, so we can show you where you can look things up, but we cannot tell you if a neighborhood is good, if the neighbors are good, if a
Right.
park is good,
Right.
if restaurants are good, in the area, if schools are good. And there's a lot of people who want specific school districts. So
Yeah.
the reason I dove into this is because our clients always say if they want to be in Norfolk, that they actually budget for private schools. And I was like, how is this always a thing for Norfolk? And
Yeah.
so I just, dove into it. And this is one of the main reasons because
Really
they want to
interesting.
be at an accredited school.
I had no idea that they were in that situation.
I don't think a lot of people did.
And then they let the woman go, who was the superintendent, who was trying to remedy the situation.
And she was doing everything in my opinion. You guys can read up on it. You can see what's out there. But in my opinion, I'm going to have more on this because I'm going to speak to a couple other people that I have lined up um, who are going to tell me, some other factual information on it. But I do think it's a great subject for us today because when you guys want to be in certain school districts, just make sure you're doing the research on it to know which school districts you really do want to be in, especially when you're coming from out of town and you don't
Right.
really know these school districts.
Right. So there's a certain amount of due diligence that the actual client has to do
Yes,
because we can't give them our.
correct.
And me
Yep.
being a product of Norfolk Public Schools, I have my opinions about Norfolk Public Schools, but I'm not going to offer it to my client. That's kind of illegal.
Mm, yeah. And we can't tell them if a sex offender is down the road or not. But what we encourage you all to do is to look it up because you can look it up. And
State police website.
sadly,
Yeah.
sadly though, those sites, what I can tell you is they're not always up to date,
And other good
sadly.
news.
We're full of good information, but not specifically great news.
Yeah, that's right though. But so many times that, schools are such a big deal for families with kids, when they're
Yes.
moving. And here in Norfolk, and again, Hampton Roads is southeastern Virginia, if you're not in our area. That's the area we live in. And it's the largest naval installation in the world. So when people move here because they've gotten restationed here, they have families, they have kids. It's very important that they understand their responsibilities on their own behalf
Yes.
to find out about the schools. You can certainly give school the numbers that are facts. You're all about that. But as far as opinions, that's up to them to find.
And like I said, if you want, a lot of our clients who are moving to Norfolk or want to live in Norfolk, because Norfolk's a great place to live,
It is.
but they just budget in for private.
Which is wild. I mean, when you think about it, to have to do that when they perfectly fine public school system, but it doesn't appear that
But
they're really
Norfolk's got it
trying
together.
to get it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. And we just had a client a couple weeks ago. They wanted to move to a different school district. And so they were budgeting. They wanted this house. They're on the water in Norfolk, and they wanted either to be on the water or have a pool. And so they were looking and looking and looking, and they sat down and they did the budget. And it was cheaper for them to stay where they were in Norfolk and send their child to private school than it was to move into
Oh,
the house that
wow.
they wanted, because they love their house. They love where they're at. And so when you have that, plus they had a good interest rate. They had a 3% interest rate because they got
What?
QZ. Yes. They had a good interest rate. So all of these factors, right?
Yeah.
And so they said, you know what? We sat down and we did the numbers. And the agent was sad because she couldn't help them find a house now,
Right.
but will in the future. But they sat down, they did the numbers, and they said it's actually way cheaper just to send our children to private school as opposed to moving to another school
Well,
district.
as a divorce lawyer would say, it's cheaper to keep her.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
there
the
you go.
divorce
Yeah,
lawyer
that
for
is
you
what a
right there.
divorce
Yeah.
lawyer would
And which
say.
I am not a divorce lawyer. And I slept on Holiday Inn Select last night, though. Uh, but anyway, so that's so interesting. But to have to do that though, when you're paying taxes to go, for public schools,
Right.
and they should all be accredited. And if they're not, then why not?
Yeah.
And to have the superintendent that was trying to do something about it. And again, we're not indicting Norfolk about any particular thing. We're just saying, listen,
Tax.
people are paying the taxes. You should give them the best education.
And we just had an insurance class. We just came from actually. And next podcast, we're going to talk about insurance because we got a lot of great info from this class that we just did. Shout out
Wow,
to Geico, Greg with
absolutely,
Geico. He came in. I used to work for Geico. My husband retired from Geico. So
really,
yeah, so I was there 8 years
wow,
and then decided to stay home with children
wow.
and then got into real estate. But I love Geico. My husband retired from there 32 years. And so it was a great place, is a great place. And I've known Greg since I was 20. And
Really, that
yeah,
long?
that long, that long. It's a long time ago. And so he gave us some great information. I will say one thing. So I'll give you one piece of information, and then next time we're going to go. And I always tell people this from the time I did start Geico: do not put out "Beware of dog" signs. Yes, they will probably try to keep people from your property, but also you're telling people you have a vicious dog. It's a liability issue. Don't put out "Beware of dog" signs. That's just a small tidbit. We'll talk more about it next
Yeah,
time.
and but sometimes people that don't really have a dog put them out just to fake people out.
Yes, and that's okay.
Yeah,
Those people, you're
you're good.
fine. You
You're
don't
good.
have a dog. You don't have a
And
liability
we'll
issue.
explain what that's all about on
Yep.
the
So
next
anyway,
time
just a
around.
small tidbit of that.
Yeah.
But we definitely are going to go into that next podcast. Right now, though, we're more talking about the consumer and what they need to look out for and have a budget for. They also need to have a budget if they're going to install a pool or not install a pool, or sometimes it's cheaper to look for the house that already has the pool versus if it has
Oh,
the one you want.
absolutely. I mean, in Virginia Beach, there's a Chesapeake Bay Water Preservation
Hmm.
Board you have to go through if you're anywhere near water,
Yep.
for them to okay you building that pool and then telling you, okay, you need this bed here, this many beds here, you got to do this and that. I've actually been through that process, and if I didn't know the mayor, I probably wouldn't have gotten a pool. But that's a
Oh
whole
my
nother story.
gosh.
Uh,
Just for a pool. Call the
yeah,
mayor.
yeah, it's insane. So that's a consideration too
Yeah.
that people should. Oh, there's a lot of information, and again, if you're not a realtor and you're watching the podcast, there's a lot of stuff that agents, you know, are looking for on your behalf. And this is just some of them that are our responsibilities to find out the facts for you so that you can live your life how you
Nice.
want, where you want, but with the knowledge that you need to make smart decisions.
Yeah. And now with the walls going up in Norfolk, before by 2035, you need to look at what area Norfolk, back to Norfolk, and you need to look at what area you want to be in, what's happening with that too.
That'll all be in the next
Yeah.
unanswered. So
Yeah.
yeah, you won't want to miss that one either. So what I want to talk about today is, and just briefly go over this, there's a lot of, again, this is speaking to the potential buyer
Mhm.
or seller that's doesn't really know, they've not really done the real estate sale or purchase before, and they don't know how to even approach getting an agent that's going to work well with you. And so I just a couple of things that you should look for, and please chime in. Uh,
You know I will.
yeah, when you when you're looking for an agent, of course, word of mouth is great. I mean, if you have a friend or a coworker that really, really loved their agent, that they just whatever their transaction
Girls are
was,
key.
that's somebody you need to talk to, right? Word of mouth is excellent. I mean, I'm in the radio business and we love advertising on the radio, but nothing beats word of mouth because the credibility factor is there. You've got someone that you believe in as a friend or whatever, a coworker, that's telling you, hey, person is on the ball. And you say, well, why? You can actually find out more about that agent from that client, that former client. And that's a great way of doing it. So that's one way to find an agent. Another one is, though, you do want to find one that's experienced. Now, not to say that there's not an on the ball firecracker agent that's been selling or buying thousands of people for a year or whatever. There are exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, you want somebody that's been down the road enough times to know the pitfalls that are possible, the things you need to stay away from during a transaction. Yeah, those agents are worth their weight in gold.
And if for some reason you find yourself that you want to use a newer agent, that's fine. Just make sure they have a mentor. Like all of our new agents who have a mentor, and the mentors are all people who have been in the business for years and years and years. So it's like working with somebody who is, tenured. And because
Journeyman.
they
Yeah.
literally hold their hand and go through it. So it's okay if you want to use it, but just make sure they have a mentor.
Right. They can call for any reason during the transaction. And everybody needs a mentor.
Yes.
Thomasina is my mentor. And I know that I can get in touch with her or Cindy, our other broker, at any time if I have a real emergency problem. But most of the time I know what I'm doing. But if there is a situation that I haven't seen before, then I have someone that's been down the road many more times than even I have.
And then sometimes it's just a spitball, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm thinking this. Do you have another
Yeah,
idea? Or have you
absolutely.
heard of another way that someone's doing this something new now?
Yeah,
It's just good to bounce it off of somebody who's already been through it or has multiple people underneath them that have been through it.
absolutely.
And you're able to get a better
It's
idea. And so
a great resource.
you're when you're with a firm that is knowledgeable and reputable, you're not just getting that agent, you're getting that firm.
Yeah. So
That's
the
super
firm does
important too.
matter. See, that's a great point. Yeah. So how long has the firm been around? Who are the brokers of the firm? I know this is a lot for you to talk about and to think about, but these are all points that I'm suggesting when you're looking for that agent. A great communication skills because, you know, how this person you're going to hire to represent you in this major transaction communicates with others is key.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a transaction, I'm going to tell you this, your relationship with that other agent is going to decide whether this transaction goes smoothly or not. And so that's key, and that's very important. Something I always try to make sure I do is communicate a lot with the other agent, let them know what's going on, whether I'm the buyer or the seller, and expect the same back from them as well
Yes.
to keep the communication channels open. And on the other hand, as well, communicating what's coming down the road for my client. It's your money after all. So here's what's coming up. These are the things we need to look out for, and I got it. So don't worry about it. Also, agents that have a list of vendors that are available to them that they use and are dependable, will show up on time, and do what you need to do. So that's a very
Yes.
important
And
factor
make
as
sure
well.
your agent is making sure they're licensed. That's something they can look up for you and can make sure that that's happening, especially here in Virginia with
Right.
Seaports. These
Absolutely.
are all great, great things to talk about. I know that we gave you a lot of info, but guess what? You're going to be able to see this and you will have a chance to download it depending on where you're going to watch it at. So you can go back through it. and you can write everything down. Also, if you look at the bottom, you can just call Jimmy Ray. He can give you the rundown, or you can go to my Facebook page up here and
I'll
you will be
see it.
able to talk to me as well. And we'll always give you the rundown on things. So,
Yeah. Well, listen, we're out of time for this week,
yes,
but we can't thank you enough for listening and watching. And please let your friends know about us. If you know somebody's buying or selling a home, this podcast answers those unanswered questions they have.
absolutely. So, we'll see you next time on
Unanswered.
Unanswered.